sobriety has its benefits. Like, literally, sobriety has its benefits. And with the energy in the environment and with every single experience I've encountered, the people I've encountered, the groups, the religions, the politics, the science, you start putting things together, oh my God. And then you become angry, sort of. No, I'm not angry. I'm just like, oh my God. It's literally when you do take the rose-colored sunglasses off and you see things for what they are, you can't help but point it out, because at this point, it's already out there. It's just hidden behind so many layers of programming. You know, the programming of self-destruct, the programming of predatory behaviors, the programming that we're all so against. I mean, what I mean, like the murderers, the abusers. I mean, the whole thing with P. Diddy, the whole thing with the Epstein, you know, the Murdoch case, even the activists. I mean, it's all coming out. And when you realize that, when you finally accept the fact that America had to be the greatest experiment in the world, America had to be the last greatest experiment to develop such excess, like Miley Cyrus was saying, you know, the party in the USA, fame, excess. That's and you see the trappings of wealth, yes, but you see how predatory people become when they want to become famous. You see what kind of abuse people endure so they get social capital. You see so many things that you didn't see before when you're not ruled by fame and power and prestige and wealth and family and friends. I mean, that's the thing. When you learn how to convert family and friends into money, and that money becomes then your God, and that God becomes the devil, Lucifer. And you see what people do for money, fame, power. Oh my God, they will destroy each other. They will destroy other people. They will become everything that they were against. Whatever they protected, they became predatory through that protection. That's what you have to understand. And then we were looking at the Y-linked chromosome, and then why men have been deemed both predator and protector. And sometimes you can't tell the difference between the two. And even some women. And then girls are subject to those situations. And then mothers put their own girls into situations that are not good for them, but they don't know any better. And so that's why you have Hollywood and politics and science and people who have exhibited these characteristics. Because we know parents are not going to teach their kids anything. Their parents are fucking been abused. So what? We have someone like a P. Diddy, an Epstein, a Weinstein to show you. We have Hollywood to show you, a mirror, and then try to redirect society. That's like Netflix. You see the worst of humans, and then you also see the messages within some of the scripts in Netflix that they're trying to redirect people's perceptions of how women should be treated. That when you have so much protection in your immune system, it becomes predatory. When you have so much protection in your society, like so many boys developed from antibodies because of mother was under duress, and not only do those antibodies cause wars in your immune system, but also wars in your environment out there in the community, then you're like, oh my God, everything from the micro translates to the macro. What happens in here happens out there. But it becomes so in your face and so horrible that the system can't do anything but clean up society. That's really what the system is relegated to, is to clean up society through the environment, and then you choose whether or not you want to be a party to your own destruction or redirect. But if you're choosing to take away pain and suffering, it must be through the state, and it has to be done through the FDA-approved protocols. And so that's why the system had to show you through the through the 1960s, how easy it is for families to develop monsters, to develop serial killers, serial rapists, serial abusers, and then showing you the slavery system through the family, through owning animals, through the farms. I mean, when you finally see humanity for what it is, we haven't changed even since way back in the days of Rome, when you had Caligula and the despotic dictators, of which then Mother Nature, the weather, took down the helicopters of the Ayatollah and his second in command. And you saw what happened with that side with Iran. They used to be relatively liberal, relatively. And then the Ayatollah came in and was so heavy-handed it turned that system back to the Dark Ages. And you see America juxtaposition so far to the left. And then you see the Iran so far to the right. Where's the middle ground? We are discovering what the middle ground is. But going so far to the left, we cause destruction and misery and suffering. Going so far to the right causes such misery and suffering. And then we realize it's the family. It's having so many boys, more, and even a mix. When you think about even a 50% ratio of boys and girls, the suffering is astronomical. Eventually, when you have so many girls having boys, then you will have all-out human extinction. That's what the system is trying to stop, because they've done the experiments back in the 1950s and 60s. And that's why you see some of these boomers and Gen X, but boomers and even the silent gens, when you have like 15 boys, 4 boys, no girls, 2 boys, 1 girl, maybe 2 girls, 1 boy. You know that boy, there was something going on during that conception. Something was going on in her body that caused her to have a boy. What do you mean? Well, there's a reason why there's ratios of boys and girls. It has to do with the stress the mother is under. So imagine a mother having 4 boys. She's under so much stress. Okay, imagine 3 boys and then having 2 girls and 2 boys. She was under stress at least half of that time during her pregnancies. Jeez. You can only imagine what these women go through. And to subject our daughters and to sick our sons onto some unsuspecting land because you want to have social capital, that's where the system is cleaning itself up. That's why you're seeing die suddenly. And then seeing P. Diddy finally get exposed. I mean, he might go to jail. I guess. I don't know. But you're seeing P. Diddy get exposed. And then the indictment, or the allegations, the indictment, or whatever, the report that Cassie, who was paid off, what she went through. You can only imagine that he's just one of many men out there who do shit behind closed doors to their wives, to their girlfriends, and manipulating them financially. Oh my God. It's like you have to be in it to understand it, and you have to survive it and redirect it. It's like you can't just tell somebody, well, you need to do this and that. I mean, you got to raise awareness, yes, but people, when they're in situations or they're going to go into situations, they're going to have to experience it and see it for what it is. And if it's worth it, they stay in it and they find a way to redirect in it. But if it's not worth it, they walk away. But is it dangerous walking away? Yeah, it is dangerous. What are you walking into? Once you walk away, what are you walking into? That's the issue with a lot of these girls and boys. When they leave bad relationships, what are they walking into? So they either make the relationship they have better or they walk away. But again, what do you walk into? So you almost have to figure out how to redirect while you're in it and then not walk into anything else. But I'm telling you, man, this is some fucked up shit. And to be the one, like what I'm doing, to be the one to say it, it's like, well, I'm already hated anyway, so it doesn't even matter. I'd rather say it than not say it. But I've walked away from society. I'm done. I'm done with society. It's done. I'm so done, it's done. It's hot. Hold on. turn the AC. Yeah, so it's Mary. It's Mary, mother of dog. What is dog? Something that can be trained into something. Pavlov, conditioned for whatever the needs of the mother and society, even the family. All right? So Mary, mother of dog or God. She conditions her sons and daughters to be destructive and also take abuse from the world. If I haven't already pissed you off, this is going to piss off everyone. But you have to see it and look in the mirror, because if not, well, at this point it doesn't even matter. The system is cleaning itself up. That's why we're in a great reset. That's why you're all resisting, because you know your time's fucking up, because you won't change and you don't give a shit. How many people out there don't give a shit about what's going on? They don't give a shit what they put their animals through. They don't give a shit about what they put their friends and family through. They don't give a shit about anything except for what they think is going on. They can't even embrace another argument or even understand why the system does what it does. Do you realize what P. Diddy has done for so many years? And you know he is one of thousands and thousands of people who do that shit behind closed doors? In basements, in shacks, in abandoned buildings. Can you fucking imagine what kind of shit goes on that you don't even know about? And you're like, oh God, the government's listening to me. Maybe they should listen to you. Maybe they should have a tracking mechanism on everyone, because of how much destruction is happening to girls and boys that don't even know any better. They're not privy to the ways of the world because their own parents are fucking oblivious. And so I'm not going to any parties this year or ever again. I'm done. I'm done. I'm literally just done with society. I mean, yesterday I went out with my husband. We went to see the bridges because I didn't want to go fishing. I know he wanted to go fishing, but I'm like, it was my day to go fishing with him, but it was so hot. And he already went fishing with his buddies on Saturday. And I'm like, well, there's no reason for me to be on the lake twice when it's so hot. It's like, upper 80s. So I wanted to go drive somewhere. Even, at first I was like, let's go to a casino just to go have a nice dinner. I'm not going to gamble, but just to go someplace. He's like, no, we're not going to. Let's go and see some bridges. Because I don't know anything really with girls, And so we went to see a few bridges. We drove all the way down to Marietta, had lunch out there, and drove through these back roads. And usually I get car sick. And I didn't get any car sick now. We went out to lunch, and it was like Middle American Asian food, which is nothing. And it was like $80 for nothing. Something you get for $5 or $10, like in a big city. We're paying $80 for some crappy Asian food, but whatever. That's how it is nowadays. But I didn't get sick. I didn't feel the headaches like I would. And we were going windy turns, and you saw some of the. I didn't take pictures of everything that we saw, but we didn't get out and walk around too much, maybe a little bit. But it's so hot outside. I had my sunglasses too, and I was probably a little bit swollen too then yesterday. So. But yeah, so I was tired towards the end of the night, and we weren't even really hungry for the steak and fish. Went to Aldi's and felt okay. But that's pretty much what I'm going to cultivate, was whatever with my husband and fishing. I'll go fishing with people who go fishing, but I'm not going to any parties. Nope, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm just done. There is nothing I'm going to try to fit into anymore. I'm done. And so I'm not going to go to any parties this year ever again. I'm done with society. I'm not pretending anymore. I'm not sacrificing my body, mind, and spirit to fit into anyone or anything. I respect my husband. I have a contractual relationship that is for survival and respect and division of labor, and that's it. That's all I'm cultivating. That's all I'm cultivating. But I'm not playing the games that y'all are playing out there because of whatever. Somebody's got to be the one to say the emperor has no clothes. Fucking clothes. Even if you think he does. Okay? The emperor's naked. And so when I was thinking about what we have programmed our boys and girls to do, and how when we spoil our kids, what kind of monsters they turn into. Yeah, spoiled girls and boys turn into monster adults. Like literally monster adults. And so the Murdoch case was a great representation of frat boy mentality, of queen bee, frat boy, insipid mothers who don't hold their kids accountable, and then fathers who think they can get away with anything, even murder. and bully people into submission, and also do financial crimes, and also just live to excess. The Murdoch case was a representation of America. America had to be the representation of families all over the world, and so you'll see the evidence come out. And so if you're afraid of the government listening to you, most likely you have a lot to fucking hide. I don't blame you for being very upset at the government listening to you, what you're doing and watching you. I would be embarrassed too if I was you. And then now look at people's Facebook and see what they're doing to their own daughters and sons. And you watch these insipid mothers, single mothers who were victimized. Now they're having children who will also be victimized by the system and their peers. And she will be the human sacrifice, and they will both die off in the system. And so here is the quintessential example of a father of a self-entitled frat boy who gives his kid everything. And he became an alcoholic, sexual predator, and a violent offender, and of course, financial crimes. The father instinctively, allegedly, I don't know if they proved that or not, I don't remember exactly, had to destroy the evidence, and that was his family. So allegedly, I don't remember what the outcome of that conviction was, if it was, he allegedly killed his wife and allegedly killed his son. But he blamed it on somebody else, so who knows. Your family is evidence to the kind of abuse and destruction you have done to yourself and other people, and yeah, your own family, what has also done to you, what they have done to you. If you can't see it now, you'll never see it, and you'll be like a lamb led to slaughter, and so will your children. When your boys act a certain way, they're showing you what the mother and father allow them to be, and you should be embarrassed of the kids, the kind of kid you developed out there, who are acting out, and you're so proud of them, and even post it on the internet. Again, I've seen somebody post their child wearing a Hitler mustache. Okay? I've seen that. And he's like, just laughing at his own kids acting like a Hitler with the actual mustache, like what Prince Harry did way back when he didn't know any better. Well, he probably knew better, but he thought he could get away with it. Someone took a picture of it. When people are proud of their sons and daughters acting like monsters and representing monsters in our society, you see how far down we have went as a human race. And so Alex Murdoch was an example, and those poor girls who were thrust into his world because mommy had to gain social capital because she was so socially abused by her community, and so she allowed it. But you know that whole community suffered under his reign, and you're developing boys from this. And they also contribute to it because they were making money hand over fist, and they had power and prestige. That's why these southern communities are going down, because you have these certain families that have abused their power, and they rule over that 50,000, 20,000, 10,000 community. And then now you're seeing what comes out of that. And since everyone was a God-fearing Christian, no one could believe that someone would do this. Or let's think again. Again, it's not just Christianity, it's the Hebrews. And very, very extreme religions all over the world. So I see those that say, oh gosh, those that believe in Jesus, you're worshiping paganism, and it's Yeshua, like Joshua, versus, Jesus. And I'm like, I don't care if you replace it with Joshua, Yeshua, Moses, Noah, Abraham, whatever. We have developed some monsters because the protectors turned into predators. That's how thin that line is to go overboard from being a protector to a predator. And you're seeing that all over in the activist community. The protectors of whatever they think they're protecting actually become the predators. And they're hunting people. And they don't even know it. That's what the Walking Dead was saying, that those who are the saviors actually become the Satans. That's what you also saw with Lucifer and Satan. And then you had the Jesus. And why is Jesus a man? Because he was like the protector. And then something happened. He turned into Lucifer, he turned into Satan. And that's why you see this whole thing, a son of God and whatever else. And so I said, just because I mentioned the name Jesus does not mean I'm not also referring to Yeshua. The Hebrews also have an issue with developing predators in our society, as well as every other religion that advocates aggressive sex and drug use and herbal extracts and groupthink and spirituality, and of course the family. The aggressive predatory family. I'm not a man-hater or advocating a matriarchal society. I just know that at this point, patriarchal societies have the Y-linked chromosome of antibodies that turn into both of men turn men into both protector and predator, and sometimes you can't tell the difference between the two. Like I said, the thin line between predator and prey, and they are interchangeable. And I studied that even a couple years ago with the binary-driven arguments, that eventually whatever you're resisting will actually become what it is that you're resisting. What you resist will persist. Because even matriarchal societies develop duress in women, and they develop boys, and then you have the same issue again with boys throwing their weight around and protecting to the point of being a predator and destroying what they're protecting. Matriarchal societies are basically a bunch of women who get together, and you have a queen bee that someone has to kiss the ring. Two women getting together, that's always one that will make the rules, the other one who follows them. Two men, the same thing. Patriarchal societies, you get sausage parties and predatory instincts. Sending your girls and guys off to college and sending them into the viper nest and then becoming a tool for the system. Now look at all the protests. Or somebody's plaything, like a sugar baby, trying to make her way through college and potentially get pregnant or have to suffer from a frat boy advances. So the girls that were raped by that one rich guy out there in New York, his parents had a bunch of lawyers. He never really got convicted. And she's like, well, here I am. Frat parties are a bunch of spoiled adolescents who then they go and wreak havoc. And then sororities are a bunch of stuck-up women who think their shit doesn't stink. And of course, the movies show you the extreme side of it. Like Revenge of the Nerds. Sometimes you get nice. You get someone nice out of that, but not very often. And cliques are a bunch of homogenized people who will destroy each other. So if you think you're better than people because you have a bunch of family and friends around you, you're just showing that you don't know how to stand by yourself, and you'll be deadly to those who don't fit in. You become the predator. Spy bot, search and destroy, pack mentality is predatory behaviors, and that's like the gangs. That's all the gangs. Like the mafia too. The mafia was broken up by the system. They had to. They were becoming deadly. Okay? There's other ways to make money, but you know how that shit goes. But then some people who didn't end up in jail, they're able to have reality shows. Like the mafia women. You have some people that go onto YouTube and do interviews with other people. And they're like, oh yeah, we did this, we did that. Blah, blah, blah. And so you're seeing what happens when you have gang mentality. And that includes the family. The family is gang mentality. Pack mentality is predatory behavior, and that's the schoolyard. The schoolyard is like a war. That's why they showed you the Breakfast Club, to show you the different representations of the different societies and personas and humans that they developed, and see what happens when you mix them together. What happens to fight to the death. And then also from that, what develops these sorority girls, what develops these frat boys, what develops these depressed gothic types, what develops depressed or rebellious people like a James Dean or that guy in Breakfast Club, I forget his name, but James Dean and Luke Perry and all the bad boys of Hollywood show you that they came from aggressive abuse from their own fathers or mothers, society, and they're out there lashing out, victimizing people, and people are like, oh, they glorify it, but not so much. They glorify, they do and they don't. There's two sides to it. That's what Hollywood is showing you, that you can glorify it and then develop a persona, an archetype, and make money from it, but also show you how deadly it is to become the bad boy. But it makes people sexually appealing. Estrogenic girls go for bad boys. I should know I was an estrogenic girl. I always went for the bad boys. And then eventually you have to tame yourself and tame the bad boys around you so they don't fucking destroy you. Sometimes you have to be in it to understand what goes on. And you hope the girls out there that are being thrust into it, forced into it, because I don't know how else you're going to freaking understand it, you hope they survive it. But some of these girls are made of almost nothing, will get destroyed by their husband, will get destroyed through the family because they're going to have a bunch of babies that they can't really raise. When you think about it, society's going to have to raise them at some point, and she'll have to go and get treatments for all the diseases because she kept diluting her potential and trying to fit into that sexually aesthetic pleasing type of body type that is not going to last long, not during climate change. But that's how society will destroy people is through their own hand, through pleasure in paradise, and feeling almost nothing under the influence. And that's kind of how stuff goes. And so the system is showing you men can be protectors and predators, but if you are raising boys to abuse us as protecting the family name, then you have turned would-be protectors into predators, and that is the family. And so I realized, and yeah, when mothers have all boys, that was the beginning of the end, and the system will continue with mothers having boys to control the population. And at some point, she won't have any kids in it at all, much less boys, if she even survives childbirth. That's what's going on right now, died suddenly. Or mothers dying at childbirth. They have a kid, that kid will be either raised by family or extended family, or by the system. They go into an orphanage. Okay? And so I finally realized that when mothers have boys, her body's under so much duress. And then she becomes Mary, Mother of God, worshiping her son, Jesus, so to speak. Her only begotten son. In the Bible, Jesus is referred to as the only begotten Son in several places, including John 3:16, which says, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have eternal life." Now, you can make that mean anything you want, but it isn't surprising that someone from Wide World of Wrestling Entertainment, John 3:16, he's out there showing how destructive he could be to people, to his peers, and then showing the men that, yeah, you should be this way. You should be a bodybuilder and go and pound somebody, whether a girl or a guy, relative to the context. And so, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, mothers worshiping their sons, giving those sons away to the world to go and work to death, and also spill his seed everywhere till he can't regain his life because he is dividing his chromosomes and everything is dividing so much and it's ending up in his testes and he's spilling himself all over the world. He depletes himself. But for him to actually regain and make whole, well, that may not happen for people because they're not going to want to turn from a boy to a girl, and it'll be very painful. So if you can slow down the men in your world so they don't keep spilling their seeds or keep dividing their chromosomes and everything else through the lifestyle. But again, you know how that goes. Oh, I gotta pee. Jesus. Oh. Hold on. All right, so basically saying she's going to sick the boys onto the world to destroy society, to destroy the other would-be. Hold on, let me see. Yes. Hold on. All right. And so basically saying she's going to sick the boys onto the world to destroy society, to destroy other would-be mommy or Mary Mothers of God, and then he would also work himself to get to death. Yeah, the Vatican knew. The family was the beginning of the end. That was the 1960s Christian revival and the hippie generation, and of course the sexual and drug revolution, along with all the civil rights. And then you have the Norman Bates, the ones that worship their mothers. And they're basically married to their mothers. Okay? That's kind of like the mama's boys in our society. But even then, You know, they're not mama's boys. They go get married, and mama's still, they're going to just transfer their love from their mother onto their wife, and then the wife becomes a new mother and all that stuff. So you get all the different levels of predators in our society, and then we dress up our girls to become targets and sign on the dotted line, and her whole family is a party to her own destruction. That's the cult of family, which is why I don't have family, okay? Thank you, Mother, for saving me from all this bullshit. I had to see some horrible sides of it, but I had to find a way to survive. And I saw a lot of horrible sides to what's going on out there. I've seen a lot of people. I've encountered a lot of different people. And some are very dangerous out there. Like, very dangerous. Very. And when you see it for what it is, you want no part of society because you see the fucking suffering, everyone pretending under the influence, and of course having more children to go through the suffering. Then you lose respect for the world because you know the world is suffering. So you just hope some people make it out alive. Not many are going to. Not many are going to. And so I was watching some videos this morning about the Ayatollah, that his helicopter landed so hard over there in the border between Iran and Azerbaijan. And yeah, the system is saying, it's the weather that did it. It was really foggy, very rainy, and they landed so hard that they basically crashed. I mean, that's what they're saying. So you want to know what caused the downfall of society? It was the family. It was the family who doesn't give a fucking shit about anything except for themselves. It's the family and friends who will bully everyone to death, psychologically, physically, and even financially if given the opportunity. Alex Murdoch. It's the family who developed sexual predators in your neighborhood. It was a family, and it is a family, who turned humans into drug addicts and alcoholics because of the kind of abuse and BS they go through. And the father teaches that to their sons, and the mothers worship her sons and daughters, and spoiled kids turn into monster adults. And then when the system wants to alleviate this and try to come down so hard, they turn into the Ayatollah. The pendulum swung the other way. So when you look at America, it was like Babylon, okay, according to those who are very right-wing. Then fine, so back in the 80s, 1978 or whatever, the Ayatollah comes in, you have the Islamic Revolution. The Ayatollah comes in and says, okay, I'm going to be the mean mother or the mean father or the mean parent, and I'm going to come down. And women have their place, men have their place, men will say what to do. It's a patriarchal society. And then you see the oppression. You see how bad it gets when the pendulum swings the other way. And then you have America where this pendulum swung the other way. But we have our own little factions that have extremism in it. But you're seeing that, for the most part, the media is more left-wing than right? And there's a reason behind that. There's a reason. Because if you let any conservative entity come in and go from the left to the right, all the way to the right, then we'll be dealing with another type of Ayatollah. And women will go back to the dark ages, and they'll become victimized by their own family, forced to have children. I already see in the right wing, when I'm listening to some of these videos, where like, I have a daughter and I own her, and she's going to get married, she's going to have a bunch of kids for me, and I'm going to have a bunch of grandbabies. And you see what these patriarchs, these fathers, expect from their daughters. And this is not just the Christian. This is also in the Hebrews. The daughters are the broad mares. They are property, commodities. And even in India and other places where it's a patriarchal society, the women get the shaft, literally. So no, I'm not impressed with your kids, because what kind of issue will they have that I have to go and pay for? And if you're upset about student loans and tax dollars, I have to own a gun and protect myself, and I can't even walk the street at night because your kids will be born so deficient and so aggressive and radicalized and religiousified that they become predators and monsters as adults. Family was the beginning of suffering, and it will continue until people fucking wake up. Iran's president, foreign minister, and others found dead at helicopter crash site, media says. Mother Nature is cleaning up the world. Remember what Iran was like before the Ayatollah came in. Some of you weren't even born then, but they had a lot more freedom. girls were going to school, and men rule the household right now. You can only imagine what goes on overseas behind closed doors. If you think America is bad, go to third world countries. Women literally get the shaft all over the world. They get clitorectomies. They get abused down there. Oh my God. Maybe it's time we redirect what we force our girls into, because developing the problems and then claiming feminism is bullshit. So we have all these left-wing mothers that claim, that develop sexualized daughters and force her into marriage because that's what she expects her daughters to be, going to college and play that game. And so they're all feminists and all, sexually evolved. And then she goes into the situation. She's probably not even trained to even know how to stand up to her fucking husband, because her husband comes from a conservative background where the men are the ones who dictate how stuff goes. And then claiming feminism? Really? That's why the system wants to guide reproduction carefully, because women are forced to have kids. They have boys, and then she worships her sons, and they do no wrong. And so they think they can do whatever they want, and then they turn into someone like a P. Diddy, Epstein, R. Kelly, and whatever else. A lot of little lambs who don't know any better get the shaft. And some of these parents force their kids into the music industry and the acting industry because mothers and fathers need an extension of themselves. And then we train our girls to become targets for some sexually charged male or female who needs to sow his or her wild oats. So how many, even in the LGBTQ? Good morning. But even those in the LGBTQ set each other up to be targets. So yeah, it's all fucked up out there. So I don't care if the system is listening to me or not, all of you, because now it's time for the system to finally regulate people who are fucking out of control. But once everyone sees how bad some men and women are to themselves, their children, and to strangers who turn into their concubines or whatever, then the system will let people do whatever they do. And you're making the choice for your girls to become targets and brutalized. You're making the choice. And that at this point, some people will learn the hard way, because the parents keep their kids so sheltered and targeted, and a target, because parents are so fucking desperate for social capital. They have to be the hero. They have to take away people's pain. They have to be the sexual exploit to somebody. And then teach her, then you'll be the all-loving Gaia mother who sells people herbs and extracts, take away the pain, and then they cause more suffering on top of that. And they make money off this stuff. And then the system will be forced to relax on even some of the age groups, because you're developing kids who turn into adults who victimize children because you decide that you're going to have a kid and you don't care if they turn into a sexual predator or not. It's not the system doing this. It's the family that keeps buying into having a bunch of children. And those children are basically out of control. And they have hormone issues, deficiencies. They've been plied with herbs and extracts, so they're not allowed to even evolve and release their demons. And they become sexualized. So all the images and what the parents have done, if they've been radicalized in certain areas, and then the kids turn into monsters and they roam this earth. And they look good on paper and they become crafty and even serial killers. It's not the system doing this. It's the parents who develop adults who become fucking monsters. So count your blessings if you're not raising a kid, because no one can blame you for them turning into a monster. Just don't be making children that you really can't take care of, because they'll be another monster in our society. America was the experiment. They wanted to see how bad it could get, and here we are. That's how bad it's getting. A nation full of alcoholics, drug addicts, and sexual predators. And then saviors. They develop a child, kids suffering. Oh, here's some elderberry syrup. Here's an herb. Here's an extract. Here's a drug. Here's an operation. The kid's suffering. And the kid then gets married and has a kid on top of all that suffering. So it's the family that keeps compounding the suffering in their own family and then on society. And they have the gall to blame the government when they're actually producing the predators in our society and the suffering and the poor girls who don't know any better. And the Ayatollah was completely the opposite, to the point where he was brutal. So you want to know what caused the downfall of society? It was the family. It was the family who doesn't give a fucking shit about anything except for themselves and their own pleasure. It's the family and friends who will bully everyone to death, psychologically, physically, and even financially, and love you to death if given the opportunity. And they are. Just look at your Facebook. They're like presenting their babies like loaves of bread. Here's what my daughter and son have made. Oh, yay. someone else that we have to go and deal with. And so P. Diddy, he was paid to show you how many monsters walk this earth. If little sheltered lambs walk this earth, how will they protect themselves from people like P. Diddy? You must see how bad some people are and can be. This is just the tip of the iceberg. You really want to marry off your daughters to strangers, encouraging your daughters to be famous, chase money, wealth, power, and cars? Do you really want your girls to become a target because she fits every single sexual aesthetic? Do you really think that little of her, that she can't get by with her brain, that she must at some point be married off to somebody, and it doesn't matter who, as long as he looks good on paper? Do we really want to encourage our daughters to be abused by the husbands and boyfriends and even girlfriends and make it okay? Are we seriously encouraging our kids to follow in our footsteps no matter how much we dress up as wonderful? Nobody talks about the things that need to be talked about, and everyone pretends. I don't care how much you think whatever you have gone through ever since you learned stuff was not as bad as somebody else's. Everybody has a story. What gets me is mothers have stories and they are still willing to allow their daughters and sons to torture each other and repeat the same mistakes. Monsters walk this earth and some look great on paper. What do you mean he was paid, Jillian? The system knew what he was doing. They knew what Epstein was doing for such a long time. They knew what Weinstein was doing. They knew what all these guys were doing. They knew what Dan Schneider was doing over there in Nickelodeon. It's not like it was a secret, but here's the thing. The system did not want to have that exposed yet. They wanted to have the world be prepared for the fall of what we've all been blinded to or what we've accepted as normal. They want to show you, not in little instances where you forget about it. They want to have it to be where it's so condensed over several years where you saw Weinstein and Epstein and P. Diddy and R. Kelly, and it's like one after the other where you can't get a break. Well, no shit. You need to know what the fuck you're producing in our society. And if they would have come out with this 20 years ago with R. Kelly, people would have forgotten it, and then it'll happen again with somebody else. Okay, so the system is strategic. I gotta hand you that. The system was strategic. So what do you mean he was paid? The system knew what he was doing. He was making too much money for the system, so at some point, there'll be time when the system says, okay, we're taking him down. But after so much damage is done, I guess you had to see it. We're in that time right now. So I don't even think, I mean, yeah, money. It was a twofold thing. It was, we'll make money from this guy. There's going to be someone always going to be expendable. There's always going to be a human sacrifice somewhere. You just hope they survive it. And then at some point, this will be a lesson. So the system made money off the lessons they were going to teach you later on and show you what women and men are producing in our society. And so why linked traits? Okay? Yeah. Functional wasteland, non-recombining desert. Gene-poor chromosomes are only some examples of the different definitions given to the Y chromosome in the last decade. So these are male chromosomes. This is attached to the male. This is the antibodies. Men are the antibodies. They are the protector and they are the predator. And sometimes you can't tell the difference between the two. And so when you are developing so many Y antibodies from all the different remedies, yeah, not only are you developing boys to become predators dressed up as protectors, but then you have the women who are full of antibodies who then become also very predatory and want to sell you everything under the sun. It will then cause then eventual rest in peace. So I guess if the system is trying to clean itself up, when people are developing so many Y antibodies in their immune system through all the remedy system, then yeah, you are helping society depopulate itself through love, through groupthink, through family. And it's fully acceptable because we are in the depopulation agenda. And so the fact that we have so many boys in families versus girls shows you then how stressed out that woman's immune system is. And so you can see when a woman went through physical stress when she has a boy. Sometimes that's her only child. But if she has a bunch of kids, and you see the distribution of boys to girls, you'll know that when she had that boy, something else is going on in her world, physically and psychologically too. And yes, the herbal remedies market and the pharmaceuticals also cause a lot of duress to the woman who then, when she has children and they turn into boys, well, there you go. There is that correlation. And you can also say that the VACCINESs and all the pharmaceuticals and, of course, all the cannabis and the remedies and all that stuff contribute to the duress of the woman who then, when she has kids, again, you will see what her body went through during that time. And that's why you have a lot of boys in our society, because that woman was abused internally, externally, everything. And, of course, we've employed the licensed people to develop that duress to the point where then particle acceleration causes so much replication that you can't even get to sexual reproduction because the antibodies turn into heart attacks and strokes because all those remedies stop the person from releasing. So they're holding on to those antibodies. It doesn't turn into sexual reproduction. It turns into heart attacks, strokes, the body falling apart. That's what all the licensed professionals are contributing to. But again, you can't tell them that because they've been told another story. And it makes money. Well, the reason why you're making money through your licenses of selling remedies and supplements and MLMs is because the system needs you to help them depopulate everyone around you through their own hand, through ignorance and resistance. So the Y chromosome is going to be disappearing. Y chromosomes develop in the testes. That's all the antibodies. Men are full of antibodies. Again, the role of antibodies is to be protector or predator. And you're seeing with autoimmune diseases, those antibodies become predator and attack the person on the inside. You can imagine in your community when a bunch of men, a bunch of frat boys get together, okay, and they look for a target, and there you go. You're seeing your immune system do what it does when you have an autoimmune disorder and the person feels like they're in so much pain because the body's trying to release the body and they can't, so they're being attacked on the inside. So you can imagine, again, when a young little lamb caught after midnight, drunk off her ass, walking home, and a bunch of frat boys go by and they're all in the pack mentality, what happens? They annihilate. And that's where you get the serial rapists and you get so much stuff. And so the Y chromosome evolves faster, but it's evolving to destroy, evolving to die, not evolving to live. Because how many men out there who are so sexually active will not release that desire because they don't want to be looked at as either gay or turning into a girl or something or effeminate. And so the system has accelerated the particles, so the division of the Y chromosomes happen faster, which is why men are aging faster in our society. So if men want to prolong their life, they're going to have to get off the remedies and the surgeries and the alcohol and the drugs and even pull back from diverse company. And how many men are going to do that? Not many. So the men will actually divide themselves out of existence because it's already in their DNA. Unless my proposition is that if you release the demons the way I have and eat food and milk and meat and cheese, then maybe over time, maybe 50 years from now, maybe you might turn into a girl. But I couldn't tell you. That's just my guess because the X chromosome was the original one. That's what I'm saying. Mary, Mother of God, Mary was the actual original human. And then she was under duress. She had a baby called Jesus. Now then Jesus is going to go and bring everyone into the eternal kingdom called heaven, death. I mean, the Vatican knew. The Vatican knew. And so the first 50 years are your youth and the next 50 is adulthood. If men could stop dividing their cells so fast relative to lifestyle, they could slow down division. Rebuilding must be faster than the division and release. And so the Y chromosome is passed exclusively through the sperm, which undergoes multiple cell divisions during gametogenesis. Each cellular division provides further opportunity to accumulate base pair mutations. Additionally, sperm are stored in the highly oxidative environment of the testes, which encourage further mutation. And so highly sexual men have so much of the evolution to offer based upon their exposure and what they hold inside, and that's why they are sexual. They're trying to release the seeds to develop more evolution, but it also is depleting them. And so seminal conservation is a thing, but even if you keep them in, they can cause cancer. Then what do? How do you release and how do you retain and stay alive? I don't really know, because maybe down the line you grow the other leg of that Y to turn into an X, to turn into a woman, and how many men want to turn into women? I don't know. Okay, that's my theory about the X and the Y. And so know the difference between enjoying your youth and destroying your future. Okay. And so are you working for wood? If you are, then you are racing to the bottom. I don't want to hear it as far as blaming the government. And so that was yesterday. I'm going to right now just leave it at this point. I'll go down my timeline tomorrow about the rest of the stuff. But I want you to see why our society is going down. It's because we have developed predators. And so now we're going through the 5 books of Moses, where history is going to repeat because we have gone from so far left to now so right, or left, relative to how you want to see it, that the system has to clean up society. And we have a lot of men and women who are so full of antibodies, who are on the hunt, predatory and destructive. And so when you're in that group mentality, just like when cancer clumps together and they become destructive and competitive, that's what happens out there. When you're hanging out with your friends and your family, frat boys and sorority girls and all of your licenses and all of your organizations, you become a cancer to other people. You develop cancer side through all your group mentality, your group think. That's cancer. That's the actual technical concept definition. When things group together like tumors, like clots. Now when you go to your parties, when you go to your gatherings, you have all those seminars that you're hanging out together, that's cancer. And that's what happens internally. That's what happens externally. So what happens in here is cancer, disease, and chronic illness happens in your community. And when you fancy yourself part of a group and you think you're better than other people, that's what cancer is doing to you. It's trying to take you over and destroy. So you become a predator and a destroyer simply by proxy of you gathering with people and thinking that you're more powerful in numbers. Absolutely, cancer is powerful in numbers until the system has to go and radiate it. And what do you think is going on right now? The system is breaking up the family, breaking up the cancers. And if you're all hanging out with your friends and family, the system is breaking your ass up. What happens at the micro happens at the macro. Look at what you're proud of. Look at your lifestyle. And you will see who the cancers are on this earth. You will see who the cancer is on this earth. It's your friends and family and groupthink. Bye.